differently, how some bigger businesses or more formal corporate structures aren't really set up for the way that business happens nowadays. And especially in the wedding world, the way couples interact and want that, instant response, and they want to build that relationship with the team or the venue or the supplier or the company that they're going to book their wedding with.
I'm Becca Poutney, wedding business marketing expert, speaker and blogger, and you're listening to the Wedding Pros Who Are Ready to Grow podcast. I'm here to share with you actionable tips, strategies and real life examples to help you take your wedding business to the next level. If you are an ambitious wedding business owner that wants to take your passion and use it to build a profitable, sustainable business doing what you love, then you're in the right place. Let's get going with today's episode. Today, I'm chatting with Ciara Crossan, the founder of Wed Pros by Wedding Dates. As a tech entrepreneur, she's constantly evolving her own business to support wedding venues across Ireland and the UK. Wed Pro by Wedding Dates are the headline sponsor for Wed Pros Live, and we're also partnering together to bring a sister event to Ireland. Ciara has so much knowledge to share, and I cannot wait to chat with her as always. Ciara, welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me, Becca. This is like my happy place now.
Yeah, I love having you on this podcast. You are on your third appearance. So I looked back to see when else you'd been on the podcast, a bit of trivia for any of the long-term listeners. So the first time you were ever on this podcast was March 2024, episode 103. And then again, you came back last year on the 10th of April, episode 159, where we discussed at length the wedding industry report that you guys put together. More on that later. But if anyone wants to go back and listen to Ciara's previous episodes, that's where you're going to find them. But if anyone has never heard of you before, give us a quick recap, very briefly, of your journey into our wedding industry and give us a little bit more insight into what Wed Pro by Wedding Dates does too.
Brilliant. Thanks, Becca. So we just celebrated 18 years in business last week. So a massive milestone for me as a business owner, and anybody listening that is a business owner like yourself, Becca. We know the highs and the lows, and to steal from your marketing theme park concept, it's that roller coaster that, people talk about. So I've seen a lot in those 18 years. Started off with weddingdates.ie in Ireland, which was an online wedding directory connecting couples with wedding venues and wedding suppliers in Ireland. That was in 2008. And then in 2011, late 11 into 2012, expanded that into the UK. So that was weddingdates.co.uk. And those directories ran very successfully for many years. But over time, we started, learning more and more about venues. Our clients, the vast majority of our clients tended to be venues. We do, did work with other suppliers as well, but venues and hotels were kind of the mainstay. And my family background is hotels, so I kind of feel like that's, in my blood. And we started to just go really deep with them and learn more and more about their pain points. And, those pain points started coming through in terms of, great, your directory is bringing us inquiries, but we have other directories bringing us inquiries. And now we have social media, and now we have our website. And, they were struggling to kind of manage and maintain everything. So really off the back of that customer discovery, we built out Wed Pro, which is the wedding CRM. So it's a CRM system to help wedding venues and businesses manage their database of wedding inquiries, nurture them, follow up with them, or organize all the appointments, the notes, the calls, all of that good stuff. So basically an alternative to a spreadsheet or a manual process, a manual inbox. So that's what we built. And kind of built that during COVID, actually, when things were really quiet. So that was a real positive for us out of COVID. And so now that's what we offer. And I also, like yourself, regularly speak at industry events. And one of the things that I know kind of connected us together was our industry report. And that's something we publish every year, something I'm really, really proud of, and being the kind of the Bible of the wedding industry in the UK and Ireland.
Such an amazing journey. You've done all sorts of different things. And like I said in my intro, you're constantly evolving, constantly doing new things, different things, keeping up in the industry. In terms of the CRM itself then, because I know when people listen to this podcast, they often say to me, there's so many different CRMs and we don't understand which one we should use. And we know there's lots of different products in the market. Just give us top line, what are the great things about your system that made it or make it what it is?
I think that's a great point. And I think every business has to choose the right solution for them. And it's like everything, there's pros and cons to all different systems. But I think it really does come down to what your needs are. So I would say probably if I could pick two, can I pick two?
You can pick two.
of the best things I would say about WedPro and the most popular things, I suppose. So one of them would be WedMail, which is the email nurturing that goes out that helps venues and businesses nurture their couples. And I think that's a really important word that, couples nowadays, they need that love, they need the attention and that nurturing. So WedMail does that really beautifully, and it's all triggered and timed, and it can be, yes, there's automation, but it's also all personalized to the couple. So that's really, really slick. I know other systems do various different versions of that, but I have it on good authority that WedMail is just very user friendly and very slick, and that personalization I think is really, really key for me. And then the second thing where we really excel is on the reporting side. So I think you have gleaned this from me over the years of getting to know me, and especially with our industry report. I am an absolute nerd. I am a data nerd. I love spreadsheets. I love numbers. I always say to people, don't let the pink hair fool you. I'm a little nerdy girl at heart, and the reports to me are really, really important. And as a business owner myself, if I'm investing in something, I want to be able to see a return on that investment. And whether that's a return on my time invested in using it by saving me time, whether it's generating me more revenue, whatever it might be, but I need to be able to see that metrically, to see that measured. So I would say our reporting is far superior to a lot of the other systems out there in terms of allowing the venues to see very clearly, because I know not everybody's a spreadsheet nerd like me. And I think for me, it's all about making the data accessible and visible and easy to understand. Okay, well, this is the numbers, but what are these numbers actually telling me? We also have competitive benchmarking, so they can see how they stack up versus their competitive set, and also broken down by source of lead, so they can see how their leads are performing. They might be listed with, some of the other big directories. They might be able to say, well, okay, this is how we're performing on, say, Hitched versus other venues in Yorkshire that are on Hitched, or Bridebook in South Wales, or whatever it might be. They can filter based on the source of the lead and based on the location, and see that competitive analysis, which I think is really fascinating.
That is fascinating. I want to go in and have a look at some of that stuff. I love a bit of data, me. And it is such an important part of all businesses. I talk about it on this podcast a lot. I know it's not the most exciting thing, but actually data tells us everything we need to know. And all business owners should spend a lot longer looking at their data than they currently do, particularly in our industry. Now, you work with lots of different businesses in different parts of the UK, Ireland, and sometimes further afield as well. As we're in 2026 now, I see that there's been loads of industry shifts over the last couple of years. What are you seeing from your perspective? What's going on out there in the industry right now?
Do you mean for business owners or for couples?
For business owners.
Business owners. I mean, I think, it's tough to be in business right now. Costs are high, costs are rising. And I think people are consolidating and trying to make sure that they get, more bang for their buck, essentially. So whatever they're spending on, and I'm doing it in my own business. I'm looking at all the different subscriptions, all the different things we use. Are we using them to their maximum capacity? Could we be do we need to be on that top plan? Are we using all the features that we're paying for? If not, we should either downgrade or start using the features that we've paid for. So I'm analyzing it myself in my business. So I think that is a big thing. I think businesses are really having to be much smarter about where they spend their money. And then the other thing I'm really seeing as well is that I think this has always been true, but I think especially during tough economic times, it comes really back to relationships again. So it's that people element, and, people wanting to know who they're doing business with, trust them. I think it's like people like to meet in person, look into the whites of each other's eyes and actually have that human connection. And, I can see that in my relationship with you, how it's evolved over the years. We've built that trust over many, many conversations, both online, DMs on Instagram, conversations on Zoom, meeting in person. And we probably have only met in person a handful of times, yet I feel very connected to you. I feel like I know you. I feel like I have a good sense of who you are, what your values are. And then that aligns me to you. And I want to do more things with you. This is I think this is kind of funny. Becca messaged me about something the other day, asking me something, which I won't disclose here now, but I literally replied back in a voice note going, I would walk through fire for you. Let's do it. So I think those kind of relationships are built when you really get to know somebody deeply. And I think spending that time is crucial.
Yes, so true. And I think as well with the systems and the AI and the automation, all of the things that can be good, actually, we do then value that human connection so much more. And I think couples value it. I think business to business, we value it. So yeah, I'm definitely seeing that shift myself. What about mistakes then? Because again, like me, you work with all sorts of different venues. And sometimes when we work in these places or look at these people, we see the mistakes that they're making in their business and we want to go, why are you doing that? So are there any common things you're seeing, particularly in the wedding industry right now, and you think, you're making a mistake, why are you still doing it that way?
Well, I'll give you an example that I literally had this morning. Okay. So we are running a wedding venue awards at the moment, just in Ireland for now. So watch the space for the UK, but just in Ireland for now. And they're supposed to be promoting these, that they're up for these awards and getting votes. And one venue wrote back to me and said that their head office won't allow them to promote that they're nominated in these awards because they do their marketing plan quarterly and it's very rigid. And I was like, can't you even put up an Instagram story? I mean, Instagram stories die in 24 hours. And I think that's it just literally happened. That email came across my inbox this morning, but I think it illustrates perfectly how some bigger businesses, our more formal corporate structures, aren't really set up for the way that business happens nowadays. And especially in the wedding world, the way couples interact and want that instant response, and they want to build that relationship with the team or the venue or the supplier or the company that they're going to book their wedding with. And I think that's where small businesses like ours have an edge because we're nimble, we can react, we can adapt quicker. So I always say to small businesses, don't be afraid of the big guys out there. And there's a lot of superpowers that we have when we do run small businesses, and that agility and responsiveness, I think, it's an undervalued thing, but it's so important. I think that's why I got out of the corporate world. Probably same for you too, Becca. Like, I just don't think we were made to be in a box and have to follow kind of really strict corporate rules like that. Like, I couldn't imagine a marketing plan. Yes, we all have plans, we stick to them and we, do things in advance, but like something cool comes across your desk, you're going to put it up in an Instagram story. You get nominated for an award. I mean, you're going to talk about that. You're going to, promote that. It just seemed really short-sighted to me.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I remember being in my job, particularly at the radio station, and sometimes they would say, you can't do that. And I would always be like, but why? Why? There's no good reason why. And it's always because someone said way up the chain, and they don't really understand. And I think that is a mistake as well from the owners of the businesses, the big players in these businesses, that they're not giving their teams more freedom to react and be authentic. Because we know right now in 2026 in the wedding industry, couples want to see people, they want to see team, they want to see authenticity. They don't want this kind of corporate blur, as it were. And so actually we need teams on the ground who have the freedom to go and record bits and put stuff on social media, yes, within brand guidelines, but give them some more freedom to promote themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you're brilliant at this in terms of showing up authentically online. One of the girls who works for me, Beth, she's Gen Z bride to be, and she's actually a former wedding coordinator in a hotel, and she's working for us in the last year. And our TikTok account was there, but it was kind of sitting there, wasn't getting that much love. And she was like, I'd love to take over the TikTok account. Now, I didn't hire her in marketing. She's hired in a sales role. But I was like, do you know what? If you want to do TikTok, have at it. I kind of gave it to her as a side project. She is loving it. She is creating all this content. She's just showing up, not a scrap of makeup on her. I think she's so brave. She started putting out these videos and I was looking at them going, oh God. And then I just had to take a step back and say, Ciara, practice what you preach. Like, if you think people show up authentically, then you have to allow this. Now, I think she's so brave. I wouldn't show up on camera without makeup. But then I was looking on Instagram yesterday and I saw one of the speakers for Wed Pros Live, Elizabeth Marbury, is like pounding down the road with her, with a face mask on, not giving an absolute damn. But I think, that's so freeing. And I want to be more like that. I want to be more like Beth. I want to be more like Elizabeth to be more authentic. I do think people know me from talking on social media. And I am very much, when you meet me in person, I am very much the same way that I am online. But I do like my little bit of lipstick, my little bit of armor. So maybe I'll just have to get over that someday.
Me too. There is a happy medium though. I will turn up in most things online, but I do like to just feel a little bit okay. So
Yeah.
I'm with you there, but fair play when people don't. I just think, and I don't care when I see other people like that. I just think exactly like you. I think, oh, I'm glad they have the confidence to do that. I wish I did. I don't think we ever think, why have they turned up with no makeup on?
Yeah, exactly. And I think, it just does bring the humanity to it as well. And even mistakes, can be a great way to show your humanity. So this week, with as part of the wedding awards, I was sending an email out to all of the nominees this week, letting them know that the public voting was open. But the voting just opened for Tuesday morning, and I was running out the door to my twins' confirmation. So I had to get this email out. So it was like quite a rush, as you can imagine, trying to get out the door for the confirmation, sending out this email. So I inadvertently sent the email to, the 112 nominees, and it said, "Hi, Megan," to every single one of them. It didn't change the name. So, "Hi, Megan," blanket to everyone. And so people were coming back going, yeah, replying, "Well, it's not Megan," or whatever, whatever. But it gave me the opportunity then to send another email when I was back the following day after the confirmation saying, "I'm really sorry I called you Megan yesterday, but the reason was I was going to my son's confirmation. I attached a little picture of me and the boys. So I was so proud of them." And then, like, again, people are like, they got a window into my life. So that genuine mistake actually turned out to be such a nice talking point and such a nice positive and, an opportunity for me to boast about my sons.
I love that. And I have seen the pictures and they do look gorgeous.
Thank you. It was a really, really nice, special day.
Good. Now, what do you think is going on out there from a positive point of view then? We've talked about industry shifts. We've talked about mistakes maybe people are making, but with the most successful venues that you work with, so when you're looking at your market and you're going, these people are absolutely killing it, they're doing amazing. What is it that you think the most successful venues are actively doing right now in 2026?
I think they're listening to their couples. They've got their finger on the pulse and they're really, they're going back to that kind of traditional old school hospitality of like, being really warm, being really receptive to people and, accommodating them because, couples come in, they're brimming with enthusiasm. They all have these wonderful ideas. And I'm sure anybody that's in the wedding industry that's listening to this podcast has had couples that have come in saying, "I want to do things different." And, I think the venues and the suppliers and the vendors that are doing really well at the moment are actually working with those couples and helping them make their dreams become reality. And they're the ones that are, to your point earlier, why not? Well, why can't we do that? Like they're allowing the couples to flex and create the day that they really want to have. And they're enabling the couples to do that, supporting them, but also maybe guiding them of like, well, usually people do this because X, Y, Z. They're giving them a reason of why people do things a certain way. And guiding them and being that trusted advisor. Because I think, I've said this before that, it's a tough time in the world right now. I think all of us are feeling it, with everything that's going on in the world politically. I think we all have that feeling that we want somebody to just put their arm around us and give us a pat on the back and tell us that everything's going to be okay. And I think when you're booking something as big as a wedding, you really want the businesses that you're working with to be really solid, trusted. You want them to be that steady guiding hand. And the businesses that are doing really well right now are the ones that are doing that for couples.
That's really interesting. And what do you think the role of technology is in all of that? Because I always think it's a really difficult thing when we're saying use more technology, be more personal. But actually, there is an intersect. There are things that can be done with technology. So do you think what do you think the venues are using technology for that's working really well for them?
So I think things like, mass communication, but at personalization, not doing "Hi, Megan" to everybody. So doing that in a really clever way. Also utilizing, not just email, but other communication tools like WhatsApp, like social media DMs, and doing that in a clever way so that you can get the answers that you need from people quickly. Especially, I think for quick decisions or when you already have a relationship with the couple, say they've already booked, but you're just trying to get them to pay their next deposit or sign something or, give you a decision on something. I think WhatsApp can be really, really handy for that. Or also, inviting them to open days and things, doing a blast. So I think in that way it can be really clever. But also, helping them analyze their numbers and their reports, feeding your data into your AI and teasing it out, using it as a thought partner, asking it questions. What is this telling me? What should I be doing? What are the industry norms? The truth of it is most people don't have time to do that, right? They are drowning in admin, in emails, They're very, very responsive. And instead of being proactive, they're just in reactive mode all of the time. And, they're very stretched. And that's where I think business owners have a responsibility to provide the right tech to support and enable their team to do a good job. I've, a team of people work with me. There's 8 on our team, and, they're varying in age ranges. Some of them are Gen Z, very, very tech, familiar, and others not so, are a bit older. And I'm always saying, can AI help you do this better? What, is there a tool that you can use to speed this up instead of doing it manually? Because some people's default is just to do things manually. And I'm always trying to question that and make sure that they're using their time in the most optimal way. But when we're dealing with our clients, we're still picking up the phone, we're dropping them emails, and we're communicating with them via, LinkedIn DM. Some clients I'd be on WhatsApp with. And I think, other businesses, it's about that flexibility, communicating with people in the medium that they want to be communicated with. I wouldn't dream of giving my personal mobile number to every single one of my clients. Although, I mean, look, if you Google it, you probably find it. But, some of my clients I would be on WhatsApp basis with, because we just have that familiarity. So I think it depends on who you're communicating with and what the relationship is.
Yeah, loads and loads of good stuff in there, from communication methods to internal methods as well. And I think often you have to use the internal technology to streamline your internal workload so that you have the capacity free to have the personal conversations over on DM and over on WhatsApp and all the rest of the places. So I think often when people say to me, I can't keep up with all the client facing stuff, it's like, well, sort out the other stuff so that you can focus on the client facing stuff, because ultimately that is the thing that's bringing you the money and also where your reputation lies. Internally, it can be organized chaos, but let's try and streamline it a bit so that you know what's going on. And that's where technology definitely can play a part. And I think, again, with CRM systems, just like yours and others on the market, often that can free teams up because it's doing some of the administrative work that's going on 25 different spreadsheets into one place, freeing up everyone's hours to work on other stuff too.
Absolutely. And also, like, when you are working with a distributed team, or say, in venues, people have different shift patterns and stuff like that, just so to keep everything in one central place. And so there's consistency amongst the team. So if a couple rings up, then it doesn't matter who's speaking to them, the information is there. And same for us with our clients. I'm not talking to all of our clients all of the time, but the rest of my team would be having different conversations with them, but it's all centralized in our CRM. So I can see, they spoke to Sarah last week. They had an email from Beth yesterday. Alex did a demo with them 6 months ago, whatever it might be, I can see it all on the system. So that means that when I meet these people or I'm having a conversation with them, I know the history and I can reference that. And that makes people, again, trust you more, because you sound like you know what you're talking about and you're on the same page as your team. There's something, again, it's that solid, hand around the shoulder. I've got you. It's that reassurance factor. And I want my clients to feel that when they deal with me or my team. I want them to feel like, geez, every time I email, a different person emails me back. And, I don't want them to feel that. I want them to feel like we're all on the same hymn sheet. And we are, because we use CRM.
Yeah, and we know that our couples want that hand around the shoulder as much as we do internally as well, because it's overwhelming out there in this marketing theme park world. They're overwhelmed and they just need to know that their wedding venue, their wedding suppliers have got their back and they haven't forgotten about them. And I think sometimes we just need a bit of technology to help us make sure we keep all that together. Otherwise, we forget people's names and we forget the information about this client over there because our brains are overloaded. Put on top of work, family life as well, it can feel like complete chaos. Now, into that chaos, I decided this year to bring a new wedding industry conference, Ciara, and I do not know sometimes why I thought that this was a good idea, although I'm incredibly excited about it. It's been something I've been talking about for the last few years, just anecdotally to people, saying I really should do something. I'd love to bring an event. And as I said to you previously, sometimes I just push a door and see if it opens. And so last year, I got in touch with you and said, I'm bringing WedPros Live, a brand new wedding industry conference, to London. Would you be interested in getting involved as a sponsor? And you came back and said, yep, we will be the headline sponsor. And I'm so thankful to have had you there from day one of my mad, crazy idea. So just walk me through, what you thought, number one, when I told you that I was starting an industry conference, and secondly, why you were up for getting involved, even though it was brand new.
Well, two reasons. So first of all, it was because I think our industry genuinely needs more content, more conferences for that wedding niche. There's been a handful of them. I've spoken at some of them over the years, but one event per year is not enough, right? So I think, our industry needs more choice. So that was the first reason we need more of this kind of content and kind of conferencing. So that was number one. And then number two, it was because of you, Becca. It was because of the energy that you bring, your personality. You were like, this is going to be a conference like no other. This is going to be so different. I was like, I totally believe that, and every single step of the way on this journey, you have lived up to that. I mean, down to, going out sampling custom cocktails for the conference. You're really like living that through. So they were the two reasons. I'd say I replied to your email within the first 5 minutes of you hitting send on it. And I was like, I'm in, count me in. This sounds great. I can't wait to be involved.
Yes, and it is going to be a conference like no other. And I'm glad that you can see I'm living and breathing it. It is going to be mad at moments. Yesterday, I went and tried on some designer dresses, and I've hired 2 dresses, one to wear in Ireland and one to wear in London. And it definitely involves some sparkles, because I figure if I'm hosting the event, I can wear whatever I want here in London. So, I think sometimes industry events can feel a bit stuffy. They can feel a bit corporate. They can feel a bit boring. And our industry is nothing like that. And so I'm like, let's just bring some Becca energy. It might not be for everyone, but for those that come, they're going to absolutely love it. Now, London was always the plan. I thought I was mad. Let's do an event in London. And then a few months in to me having promoted the event, started selling tickets, talking to you, having you on board as a sponsor, you came into my WhatsApp on my phone and said, Becca, I've had a crazy idea. Maybe we should also do this in Ireland. And I don't know what you thought I was going to reply, but I didn't reply and say, you're ridiculous. I replied and said, tell me more.
Yeah, it was total serendipity. And I think, again, I would sponsor and attend different events all of the time. And that's it. I just attend, I sponsor, I speak, whatever. But whatever it was about this event, and just, you're very an open person. We've developed a friendship. And this wacky idea came through my head, and I didn't feel stupid putting the wacky idea to you. I felt like you'd be receptive to it. And of course you were. And I thought, 4 of your speakers were flying across the Atlantic to come to London for Wed Pros Live in London. And I just thought, if those 4 amazing women are flying across the Atlantic from the States over to this side, then it's only a little hop over then to Ireland. Sure, why not? Maybe we could convince them. Maybe we could lure them over to Ireland. So I pitched that kind of concept to you, and I will never forget your answer to me, Becca. And I've quoted you so many times on this when you said, let's push the door and see if it opens. And I think what a mantra, what words to live by. That's more powerful than, it has impacted me more powerfully than you will ever know, and I'll ever be able to explain to you, because I literally use that phrase nearly on a daily basis. Push the door and see if it opens. And it's just such a symbol to me, and very a good visual aid of, going for it, just believing in yourself and trying something. The door mightn't open. That's okay. Sometimes doors don't open. But if it does, then you need to make the decision. Okay, the door is open. Am I going to step through? So that was the first thing. We talked about it. You didn't tell me I was completely mad. And you said, okay, I'll go and ask the American speakers, will they be up for it? And I said, okay, I'll go and try and source up the venue, because I'm in Ireland and I know the venues in Ireland. And we both went away to do our respective tasks and came back, I don't know, a couple of days later. And it's like, my door opened. And you're like, my door opened. I'm like, okay, I guess we're walking through.
And we walked through. We decided, you know what? A bit like I said earlier, when I was frustrated in my corporate job, why not? Why not do it? There's lots of reasons to say why not do it. But we thought, you know what? As you said, these speakers are coming. They're coming all this way. It makes perfect sense. They're already making presentations, and they were really excited about the idea. Because again, when I pushed that door to them, I thought they might come back and go, no, we don't want to do that. And actually, very quickly, they came back and they were really excited about the idea. It's great for them. It means that they get to go to 2 different places, they get to travel, and they were so receptive to it as well. And so it felt right. And that's why I love that analogy of opening the door, because sometimes the door does slam shut on ideas and sometimes it doesn't. And when it doesn't, I think that is a sign. Let's just be brave and walk through it. And we'll worry about it later and see what happens. And in that moment, we decided we've got a venue, we've got speakers, let's make it happen. And so, as I said in the intro, a sister event was born, which is Wed Pros Live in Ireland, which we are doing in Kilkenny the same week as Wed Pros Live London. So we're having an absolute mad few days. It's going to be a whole lot of fun, where we're going to be in Ireland for the Monday and then all flying over to London for Wed Pros Live on the Wednesday as well. And although they're not exactly the same event, they're going to have a similar ethos. And the Ireland event, I was very upfront with you straight away. And I said, look, I don't have loads of clients in Ireland. I don't have that database, but I'm willing to come and bring all of my stuff and my people and to be part of that event with you. But you will have to partner with it, not just sponsor it. And you will have to bring part of that party as well. And so the Irish event is very much a collaborative partnership event that we are doing in conjunction with each other. And it's evolved for you as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, partnering with you on this has given me such confidence, because you have bringing that experience, you're bringing the team, you're bringing the speakers. So it's like, I'm not doing it on my own. I feel like I've got Becca in my corner, on my side. So I'm kind of managing the venue side of things, and also, the ticket sales and getting the word out there to our community, because obviously I've been operating in business in Ireland for the last 18 years. So, the getting the word out there and, bringing that community of people together, it obviously falls under my remit. I know a lot of people in this sector, in this space in Ireland. And I just think, how lucky are they? I mean, forget actually about the attendees. I want to go to this conference to learn the content. Like, the speakers that are coming, yourself, and the 4 ladies that are coming from the US, like, I am there to learn from you as much as anybody else in the room. I will be sitting front row with my pen and pad, like, seriously, taking notes, learning from you all. And I'm just so thrilled that we get to offer that to the Irish audience. Like, if you think there's a lack of, wedding conferences and content and events in the UK, it's even worse in Ireland. There's really very, very little. And, it's a lot of the same old ding dong. I'm just really excited about bringing 5 fresh speakers over, you from the UK, the 4 from the US, to share their knowledge with the Irish wedding professionals, because weddings in Ireland are a really big deal. Irish weddings are kind of renowned. They're almost up there with like Indian weddings, I suppose, in terms of their cultural significance and how big and elaborate and wild they can be. So they're really, really big business for a lot of venues and vendors out there. And I think, everybody is trying to learn and evolve all of the time. Well, the good ones are. So the good ones are the ones who are going to be there in the room. They're going to be the ones that want to learn. They want to upskill. They want to improve. They want to see what's happening out there beyond the borders of their town or their county or our little island. We're an island nation. We need to look broader. We need to look elsewhere to get, ideas and inspiration. And that's why this international flavor of speakers is just going to be so phenomenal, I think, for our Irish audience.
Yeah, it definitely is. But it's not just about the international speakers, Ciara, because you are also gracing the stage in both Ireland and London. And I'm incredibly excited about what you're going to bring, because everyone knows by now that I absolutely love an industry report. I particularly love your industry report. And I said to you, I'm really hoping as part of your keynote in both Ireland and London, you're going to present some of that data. So tell everyone listening what they're going to get from your session in London and in Kilkenny.
Well, the timing of it worked out so perfectly, because if you were having this conference in January or another time of the year, I couldn't really deliver this. It's just so perfect. We are still putting the finishing touches on the industry report. And the way we build it every single year is we put out a survey to couples. We do one survey for the UK and one survey for Ireland. So they are 2 completely different reports, 2 completely different surveys. We had over 850 people reply in the UK survey this year, and over 450 people reply to the Irish one. So a really, really decent sample size. This isn't us surveying 100 people. Like, it's a really, really decent sample size to get that data. And it's a really long survey as well. That's probably one of the problems, because I like to do the report and have that consistency there. And so it's really hard to drop questions so that we can compare with previous years. But I want to keep adding questions all the time. So it's like over 50 questions long. So the couples that fill out the survey, they really take their time. They're really thinking about it. We've loads of open-ended questions, and we're getting their actual feedback, their actual experience. It's not just yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, you're done. It's a really, really detailed, in-depth survey. And the report is over 40 something pages long. And the insights that are coming out of it are really, really interesting. Some things have stayed the same from previous years, but there's definitely things that are changing. AI, we were talking about it earlier, that is definitely increasing in importance, I suppose, in terms of a tool that couples are using to help them plan, but also on the research side. And there's so much good meaty stuff there. I'm not giving away any spoilers. You're wanting something, but I'm not giving any spoilers. People are going to have to come to Wed Pros Live in London or in Ireland to hear. And I will be sharing, and it's fresh. The report is literally being finalized as we speak. So it's going to be really fresh, really current. And I'm excited to share those trends and insights with people. And so they can really get inside the minds of what's going on with couples at the moment.
You could read it all over my face, because my next question was, are you sure you can't give us a little spoiler? Have you looked at the data? Is there anything exciting coming up? I'm excited to see the TikTok stats for sure, because I've been tracking those over the last few years, or maybe it's going up. We'll have to see.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's safe to say, but by how much? I'll never tell. Oh my God, we've been putting so much work into this. Members of my team and me have been all over the data. And, we have to do this report. We ask the same questions, but it's different results. We have to do this report twice, and the narrative is different, obviously, depending on what the results are saying. So I've been through it with a fine-tooth comb, and it's really, really interesting. And just, hearing what the couple's frustrations are. I think, people will go to town typing on reports or in surveys and online when they're unhappy about things. So we do, have a really good sense of what the couple's frustrations are. But what we've tried to do with the report is say, well, these are people's frustrations and this is what you can do about it. And that's really what I want to be sharing, because me, Becca, I'm a glass half full kind of person. I'm a positive Polly. I'm always looking from, okay, well, this is negative, but what can we learn from it? How can we do better? How can we improve? How can we grow? And that's really what I'm going to be trying to share, at Wed Pros Live is these are the frustrations that couples are telling us about, but here's how you can solve that. Here's how you can address it. And the people in the room that are listening to that, they're the best of the best. They're the ones that are trying to do it. So they're going to take the advice that they learned from me, from you, from all of the other speakers, implement that. And they are going to be the ones that win more bookings in the long term. It's just that simple.
100%. I'm so excited. It's going to be so good to hear fresh in that room, all of the data, and people are going to be able to download the reports. And what I love about it is because we're doing it in both Ireland and London, you're going to be able to share the data with the relevant people. So your presentation isn't going to be identical in both places. It's going to look very different depending on the event they're attending.
Absolutely. And they will get a free copy of the report for attending the event as well. So they'll have it into their inbox and they can pour over it at length long after my talk is done.
I am definitely going to be pouring over it at length long after your talk is done, because I always do. But it's great. It's great data. It's always interesting to see the anecdotal evidence as well, the frustrations that people are sharing. And it almost always backs up what I've been teaching people. And so it's always great for me as well to be able to see that and give people some actual evidence that what I've been telling them for the last few months is actually true, and they can see it in the report as well.
Absolutely. And look, we all know with weddings, there's always these, and it's not just weddings, I think any business, there's always edge cases, right? It's never a one size fits all, but I think it's just about looking at trends and seeing, well, the majority of people are doing this, so this is where I should be hanging out on social media. Or, it's very hard to be all things to all people all of the time. So we have to try to, I suppose, in business, define, who are our white sheep customers? Who are the majority? What is the sweet spot? Who are the people that we're going after? Who does our services? Where does it land best? What cohort of people? And I think once you know that, you can build your marketing around that. You might be a venue that's just way better suited to second time round weddings, and you're going to be going after, older couples, that kind of thing. I think it's just about really understanding those personas and then aligning your marketing and your sales activity to address what those people want and how they speak, where they hang out and how they communicate. Instead of just trying to blanket vanilla everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And now for me at WedPros Live, one of the most important things for me was finding the speakers. And still, I mean, we're a few weeks out from the event and people are still messaging me asking, can they speak at the event? I'm like, I sorted the speakers so long ago, like before I even announced the event, because for me, the speakers are what makes or breaks an event. You've been to loads of events. You've seen great speakers. You've seen poor speakers. And I've been asking all of the speakers that I'm interviewing on the podcast what they think makes a good speaker. Because when I say to people, I'm having really good speakers at the event, sometimes they don't really know what I mean by that. So what in your mind makes someone a great speaker at an event?
I just think it's how they command the stage, how they engage with the audience. Obviously their content, nicely presented slides always helps as well. But the big ick that I have, and those of us who've been in the industry a long time, sometimes see people who are sponsoring or exhibiting get a speaking slot and they effectively go up on stage and do a sales pitch. Now, I want to absolutely just run out of the room screaming. It just drives me insane. It's like, I'm not here for your sales pitch, mate. Like, don't do that to me. And I think, anyone who's speaking, has a business, they're selling other services, they're doing other things. Yes, you can, talk to them afterwards if you want to get their services, but they shouldn't be up there pitching. And for me, that's something as a speaker, yes, I am a business owner. Yes, I want to, get more clients for my business. But as a speaker, it's something that's fundamental to me that I don't do a sales pitch and I never have. And I think that's why I get asked to speak again and again and again at industry events, even if I am sponsoring. The organizers know that I'm not going to get up and do a sales pitch. And I think that's a big thing. But I think it's people that, they know their chops, they've walked the walk, they have the scars to prove it, I suppose, and that they can, really engage with the audience and bring out the best in them, I suppose. In terms of there's Q&A or, it depends on the audience interaction. And I think at WedPros Live in Ireland, we're going to have some masterclasses where we get to break out with the speakers one-on-one, which, again, I'm hosting one of these, but I wish I could go to one as a participant because I think that getting one-on-one time, with some of these speakers is absolutely gold. And I think people should not take that lightly. You'd pay thousands for, half an hour with some of these ladies that are coming over. So, I think our attendees are very, very lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, for me, the reason I picked the speakers I did is because I want speakers who are going to serve and will come into that room with the heart of service in the same way that I hopefully operate my business, that I'm not there to take and sell, exactly as you said. I'm there to give. And I know that everyone on that stage, I wouldn't let them on my stage unless I knew that they came in with that attitude of wanting to serve. Yes, of course, we're all there with our other business interests in mind, but ultimately we want the people in the room to walk away with a result, with a quick win, with something new, with a newfound confidence, with a new connection. And we as speakers are there to help facilitate that. Now, at the London event, we are also having an area which is called the Backstage Business Crew, which is kind of your standard exhibition area, but I wanted to give it a bit of a theatre twist because for me, my vision for that area isn't that, again, it's not people just standing there to sell you stuff. It's a help desk zone. It's a place where people can come and get their questions answered. It's a place where no question is too ridiculous and you can go right up to the person and say, I don't understand what you do. Can you explain it to me? Or I don't know how you could help my business. Could you tell me more? So you have got some of your team coming. They're going to be in that area on the day. Actually, as a headline sponsor, you've also got a second area in the VIP lounge as well. So the VIPs are going to be able to chat to you in there too. But if people are coming on the day and they've got questions, what sort of things are your team going to be able to help them with if they come up to them on the day itself?
Well, Alex and Beth on my team that are coming with me to WedPros Live are both serious operators themselves. Both of them have worked in weddings. As I said, Beth is a Gen Z bride herself planning her wedding. And so, I mean, people should be tapping her up about getting into the mind of a Gen Z bride because, and actually they should be looking at her TikTok. It's at the wedding CRM on TikTok because Beth is putting up, like, it's just her up there and talking about that. But, so getting into the insight of into the minds of the Gen Z bride, but also I think, Alex has worked with me for 9 years. And before she worked with me, she was actually a wedding manager in a hotel. And she was actually a client of mine before she came working for me. She hounded me for a job. She sold herself so well. She talked herself into a job with me, but she has lived it from both sides and she really understands the pain points so well. Of the venues. And similarly, Beth, Beth used WedPro in her last role, and she actually admitted that she was really against it when her manager brought it in. She was like, oh, it's just another thing for me to update and whatever. And then she started using it. She's like, oh my God, I can't live without this now. So again, I think both of them have seen it from both sides. They've worked directly with couples, and then they really deeply understand our product and how that we can help. And I think for us, we don't want clients to just sign up for the sake of it, or just to win a big business. We want long-term clients. I'm in business 18 years. Some of my venues have been with me since the start. We're really about building longevity. So we will openly say to people, if they're looking for something, that we don't have, or, we'll be like, well, you're better off going elsewhere. They have that little thing that you need that we don't have. We're very, I think, open like that in terms of just wanting the best for what the client, and that's that service mindset as well, because, you can charm someone. I always think the Irish accent gets me a long way. So I can charm someone into signing up for like a year, but then they're going to leave and they're going to have not going to have a good thing to say about you. And that's not what I want. We're here for the long term. So I think it's really important that the girls embody that as well. And they do, because they've lived it on both sides. As I said, pick Beth's brains about TikTok and about Gen Z.
Yeah, absolutely. People should definitely be going and speaking to her about that. And maybe I should have her on the podcast to talk about her Gen Z planning experience, Kira. Maybe we should get that sorted.
That's a great idea. Yes, she would love it.
All right. I will reach out to her separately about that. We should definitely do that. But if you are going to be in the room in London or Ireland, she's going to be there at both events, I believe. So people can go and chat to her there as well.
Absolutely.
Now, before we finish, the one final question I want to ask you is more generally why you think people should go to industry events. So obviously we've talked a lot about WedPros Live because we're both very excited about it, but there are other industry events too. I love going out to Wedding MBA. I know you've attended various different conferences, and I feel like there's people who love conferences and then there's people who just avoid them or feel like they don't want to spend money on them. Why do you think that they are worth investing in? Why should people make industry events part of their year?
First of all, I think I understand why people avoid industry events. And I think it's because of networking. I think a lot of people are afraid of it. I think especially since COVID, a lot of us got very used to, working remotely, working from home, staying behind our laptops. And I think that going back kind of into the real world and networking in a business scenario can be quite daunting. But I think the scariness can be offset by what you gain on the other side. When you make a connection with someone, and you only need to make one or two good connections, you will feel so seen. You will feel so heard of just somebody else is in the trenches with you. They're going through it. You look on social media, everybody's business is booming and life is so glamorous and everyone is having this great time. And then when you actually meet people in person, they will tell you things that they will not tell you over email, that they will not tell you on a Zoom call, because we're also paranoid that there's AI companions all over the place, but they will tell you things face to face. You can hear brilliant gossip. That's one thing. Come for the gossip. Who's moving around in the industry? What's happening? You can hear that kind of stuff, but you can make friends and make connections and you see yourself reflected in other people. And for me, industry events and networking events are so important. And even me, as outgoing as I am, sometimes, especially after COVID, I would have had, the tummy wobbles, walking into a room or going to an event. But I always come out saying, damn, I'm glad I went to that. That was just uplifting. It energized me. I met somebody. I learned something. I made a connection. It's so powerful, because it is hard to be in business right now. It is lonely at times. The world is going to hell in a handbasket. We need that humanity, that human connection. We need to come together, look into the whites of each other's eyes and say, I've got you, baby. It's going to be okay. We're in this together. We're going to be fine. I think it's so important.
It's so true. And also just gifting yourself that time away to focus on learning and relationships, because actually we're all so busy all of the time. But whenever you go to that kind of conference environment, it's not the kind of environment really where you can carry on doing a bit of emails on the side or a bit of social posting. Really, you are all in. And that's one of the things I love when I go out to Las Vegas for a few days for Wedding MBA, because I'm all in. I'm on a different time zone. I'm all in to what I'm doing there. I haven't got the distractions of my office and my laundry basket and all of those other things. I think sometimes just stepping out of the everyday and just having that moment of total, I would say calm. It's not quite calm when you're learning all of this stuff, but I guess distraction free. Often that's when I have my biggest aha moments or a breakthrough, or I think, oh, I hadn't thought about that, or I've just learned about that. This is how I can apply it in my own business. And I'm sure you've done the same as well.
Absolutely. It's just about being present, right? Just taking that time, because when we are in front of our laptops, we also have our phones going. We have multiple screens probably. And, for people, if you work in an office, somebody might walk in, there's a lot going on. Whereas when you're in that conference environment, hopefully your laptop isn't with you. Hopefully your phone is in your handbag or in your pocket, and you can be present and take in the learning and the connection. And as you say, it's quite grounding in your own body to just be in the moment like that and be open to what's happening around you and taking it in. So hopefully we're going to create that kind of, I'm going to say, calm chaos. I don't know if that's a misnomer, but it is going to be full of energy, but also I think people are going to feel very present and feel very in the room at WedPros Live.
You know how I keep describing it? I say it's going to be a vibe. And you just have to be there to understand the vibe. It is going to be a vibe. And if anyone's wondering, do not bring your laptops to WedPros Live. You do not need a laptop. Bring a phone, but only for content creation purposes, to tell everyone all the amazing stuff. But you do not need a laptop. You do not need to check your emails partway through the day. Put your out of office on, come and have some time as you on that day and soak up all of the amazing people in the room and make the most of it. Kira, I'm so excited about Ireland and London. It is so soon now. We're going to have such a blast. Before I let you go, though, there's always one question I ask at the end of the podcast. And I actually had a look to see what you answered this last time as well. I've been doing that to all the people who've been coming on the podcast as repeat guests recently, which always makes them nervous, but there's nothing to be nervous about, because I think it's interesting to see whether we still have the same thought as we did last time, or whether our mind and our business and our things that we're prioritizing has moved on. So what's one thing you personally right now wish you'd known sooner in your own business?
I think how to ask for help. I think it took me a long time to learn that. I think I was very, at the beginning of my business, very solo, just doing things my own way, staying in my own lane, just building, thinking I had to do everything by myself. And I think the older that I get and the more evolved that I am in my business, I see that you do need that help, and it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to be vulnerable. And, when I didn't think, oh, Becca created a conference, then I can create my own conference. I just reached out to you and said, let's do this together. I wanted that, the company and the partnership of doing something with somebody. And that's why I reached out to you about WedPros Live. And I have other examples of that in other areas of my business and my life. And I think I wish I knew that a little bit earlier. Ask for help, reach out. People are going through the same things that you are. And, a problem shared is a problem halved. And you can get so much strength from your community just by talking.
I totally agree with you. And the last time you were on this episode of this podcast, you said the thing you wish you'd known sooner was to delegate. So you are definitely still on the same page as you were this time last year. And I'm 100% there with you. The bigger your business gets, the harder it is to do everything yourself, and you just become a busy fool. Find other people that can do stuff as good, if not better than you. And that's how you can evolve, grow, and stay in business for as many years as you and I have managed to, because otherwise you will burn out after 12 months. And you'll go back to working in Tesco's. And none of us want to be doing that. Otherwise, we have to keep asking those questions. Well, why not? Why can't I do those things? Why do I have to do the thing that corporate head office said? So delegate now so that you don't have to go back into that environment. Kira, it's been a pleasure. If people want to find out more about you, where are the best places for them to go?
So I'm hanging out a lot on Instagram these days at Wedding Kira. If you want to know more about our wedding CRM, it's at GetWedPro or www.getwedpro.com. And come and see me live at WedPros Live. Come and see me in person and shake my hand and take a selfie and give me a hug. And We'll have a great day.
There are going to be so many selfies at WedPros Live, and also Simona, the amazing Simona, is going to be there capturing every single moment of every single day, so that those of you that don't get a ticket are going to get the biggest amount of FOMO you've ever had. If you haven't yet got your ticket for WedPros Live, it's at wedproslive.com. You can go there and get tickets for both Ireland and London, but be aware at the time of this going out, there may be very few tickets left. So if you are listening and you're thinking you should be in the room, get on that link and see if there's anything available. If not, you'll be added to a wait list for a future event. Ciara, it's been amazing. Thank you so much for your time. And I will see you first off in Ireland.
Thanks so much, Becca. The countdown is on.
Such a great conversation. I love Ciara, and I'm so excited that we are bringing WedPros Live to Ireland, as well as having the event here in London. And I think it's just an example of why not? Why not? When she suggested the idea, I thought it was crazy on one hand from my own travel plans, but ultimately it made perfect sense. And it means we can serve more people and those speakers can give to more different business owners. If you haven't yet got your ticket to be in the room, you absolutely need to be. And if you haven't, I promise you, you're going to get FOMO. I'll see you all next time.